Yes, guys, welcome back to episode 24 of the Blue Balls podcast. Back after another defeat to Brentford, another demoralizing performance. And I won't lie, my confidence, my belief is at an all time low. I don't have confidence for any other games coming up. And I don't know if I'm going to have that same feeling at the end of this show, but I hope it's going to be a little bit therapeutic at least.
Well,
Big up
all-time
to
low, Lewis.
what?
All-time low, lower than last season.
Yes.
Really?
At least last season we had Tuchel's 11 points to save us. Now, I don't know where we go from here, but yeah, it's great to be back on, even after another defeat. Big up to everybody. Hit the like button, subscribe, all of that. Let us know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. And big up. Fatta, what were you saying, my guy? How's your week been? Other than the football.
Yeah, not too bad. And yeah, such a horror show on the weekend, but overall, it's all good, man. But yeah, it's been killing me right now.
Big up. What making his debut on the Blue Balls podcast, and great to have you back on the show as well. Well, back on the channel as well. Big up to Scott. What are you telling me, my guy? How's everything been?
It's been good. Obviously, Chelsea sucks at the moment. I say it sucks. We had a good result last week. But obviously, the game just gone was terrible. Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. It's just I'm not quite where you are in terms of lowest, just because like nothing will top last season. Like we got to the points at last season where I was watching Champions League games at other teams instead of us because I refused to watch us. I was laughing when we conceded. That's how bad it got. I can't get that.
We're in the Champions League.
You said, bro, I spent the entirety of that Lampard interim reign just laughing the whole time. Like I fully didn't care. At least now I care about the club again. I just didn't care. So it's not quite as bad, but it's close.
Yeah, maybe it's just two cheeks of the same arse, in all honesty. Last but not least, big up to Alex, as always. What are you saying, my guy?
I'm all right, buddy. I'm all right. Listen, I think this is going to be a good episode because I think there's a few contrasting opinions about what's going on. But that's a good thing, isn't it? That's a good thing. It's all nice to have a healthy debate. But, you know, mate, we're not even in December. I think that, I mean, you say it yourself, Lewis, a lot of players need time. You know, they've just come in. The squad needs time. It's a brand new squad. It's a brand new manager. To be honest, the owners are brand new as well, as much as people have already lost patience with them. I do get it. I get the frustration. I understand why people are angry. We were just talking off stream about Man United and Ten Hag and what's going on over there. You know, I look at that situation in a similar light to our situation. Although I would say if I had to pick between which team I'd rather support at the moment, I'd rather be a Chelsea fan. At least there's hope. Like at least there's some optimism that we can produce something with the young players. Man United don't even have that. But yeah, we'll get into it. Lots of interesting topics. But generally speaking, I think that Chelsea fans need to just get behind their team a little bit more. I don't think it's time yet to throw our toys out the pram. Father was telling me the other day when we were doing our fan cam after Brentford that I'm toxic and I have toxic optimism. So it'd be interesting to know why, and maybe we can discuss that. But look, it's not great, but I think it's too early to come to a conclusion.
I would agree on that. It's just that Brentford game was just yet another example that like we are always going to struggle against low blocks, at least right now. And with that in mind, if the idea is for us to just be better against better teams who have a much better ability to put us away, then I feel like we're just trying to hope. In reality, like we're facing teams that are better than us who should be beating us and probably will. And then we're going towards the likes of games like Everton, Sheffield United and Wolves, where I expect them to be defensive minded against us. And we're probably going to struggle in that remark too, which just makes me think, where is our next points coming from? Because I really don't know. I'm now at a loss of words over it.
But one thing we can say compared to last year is we have phases where we play well. I don't think we even had that last year. I can't even say to myself, well, at least we were good in the first half, or at least we were good in the second half. I feel like last year it was just crap all the way around. And Scott said it himself. You know, I don't blame you,
I felt
Scott.
that way this season as well. Like
Sorry?
where we have, I felt that way this season where we have phases where we play well and phases where we fall off, but we don't have a consistent 90 minutes.
That's true, but we have moments where we can see that if we can get that consistent period, it's not too bad. And when we talk about mindset and things like that, a lot of the players don't know what it's like to play for Chelsea. This is not something that takes a couple of months. This is something that really takes years. If we're being realistic with ourselves, so I'm not saying that everything's going to click straight away. I'm not saying it's going to take 4 or 5 years, but what I am saying is that, and I said it before, everyone seems to think it's crazy what I'm saying. Have a little bit of blind faith, a little bit of blind faith. I'm not saying close your eyes, don't watch the football and expect us to get results, but understand that what we have this season is a lot better than last year. All right. Now we can talk all about quality and players like that. We got rid of Mount, Jorginho, Kovacic, Mendy, all these players. And you can say, well, we won the Champions League with them. They are better players. And you're probably right in that sense. But number one, you want to have players who want to play for the club. We didn't have that last year. And this year we have that. So that is an improvement. And then you say to yourself, okay, let's build the actual qualities of those players. And for me, Pochettino's doing a half decent job of getting I don't want to say the best. That is a low bar, but improving players bit by bit. And Mudryk is a key example. And I think that once we see players like Mudryk coming into their own, other players will do the same. And even players who haven't been great have been better than last year. Sterling, in my opinion, he's been better than last season. Cucurella, already a much improved player on last year. So those are just 2 players that I've named, and it's not a quick fix. But for me, I'm sitting there and I'm willing to take the punches, and I'm willing to lose a few games because I know that sometimes you have to do that, to then bounce back.
But here's the thing: like Tottenham didn't need a long break after losing Harry Kane. Postecoglou came in and just turned them around quickly.
But
this is why, I don't really believe in blind faith. I believe you have to earn it. I look back at past managers. When Lampard got sacked, a lot of the Chelsea fans didn't want to back Tuchel initially. He had to beat everybody in Europe and win the Champions League to get the fans' full support. But he did it.
I completely agree with you.
What has Pochettino done to warrant support?
But he's inherited a squad that finished 12th.
No, we got rid of half of them
for European football, let alone Champions League.
We got rid of most of that squad. Like I think 6 or 7 are still here, and that's it.
What I'm saying. That proves my point even more. So
he
got rid of all of our
experience. A bad squad.
He's inherited a squad that don't know what it's like to play for Chelsea, don't know what it's like to play at Stamford Bridge or play with each other or play under him.
Pochettino came in and he immediately said he understood it. He said, "There's no excuse for patience. I don't need time here at Chelsea. We win now." So he understands what it's like here too, but he can't reach up to those expectations.
Alex, can I ask a question? Like, why do we perform so badly at home?
That's a good question, mate. I mean, I think a lot of it is just dragging on from last season. So I'm not seeing a team that's worse than last year. I'm seeing a team that's better than last year. I mean, it sounds terrible, but it's true. So we are playing badly, but we're playing better than last year. So yeah, you could say it's a bad president, it's a bad bar. But what am I supposed to do? Criticize the players, criticize the manager, criticize the ownership? Okay, fine. You can dig them out a little bit, but it's not going to change overnight. It might change by February. We might be having a completely different conversation. I mean, a couple of weeks ago when we were doing this podcast, I think after we lost to West Ham, I said, well, still look at it in December. Look at it after Christmas, and then we can have a real assessment on things. Because let's say we go out and we do get a Tony or a Victor Osimhen or whatever it is, that could be the catalyst for a big change. So that's why I'm still optimistic. It's not complete faith in the players. It's also faith in the manager, and we've seen his results that he can get when he's got no support, and he's got every bit of support right now. So if he could do it with teams like Tottenham, teams like Southampton, he can do it at Chelsea.
But he's not showing it. Like every week I'm questioning the lineup. Nearly every time we drop points, I'm looking at decisions that Pochettino has made, and I'm saying it's partly culpable in it. Like you could say support. The only reason why he's got support is because people don't want to be Poch out 3 months into the season. because they
But
think they're
that-
being too
But
reactionary.
that is understandable, isn't it?
No, it's not in my eyes.
So
Because-
sack him and get someone else in.
Bro, I wouldn't mind at this point because I don't know where our next points are coming from.
But we didn't know where our points were coming under Potter. We didn't know where they were coming under Lampard.
They're
It doesn't
all
matter who you
crap.
get in.
They're all crap.
So who do we get?
Go on, Scott.
I don't think, at least this is from my point of view, because I don't think Pochettino has shown that he's good enough. I don't think he's shown he's actually any better than Potter, because I went back and looked at it. Statistically speaking, we are 5 points worse off from our first 10 games from this season compared to last season. We had an easier run this season compared to last season. And that was with 2 managers, a complete change in system in terms of going from complete change, but a change in system going from Tuchel to Potter. Players not turning up in terms of experienced players during that time period as well. And we were still 5 points better off. And I saw the same things that I'm seeing now from Pochettino and Potter in terms of, we saw glimpses. We had the game against Wolves. We had the game against, I'm just going through them now. I'm trying to think who else we beat. I've just gone through them. But we had the game against Wolves. We had other games where
Brentford,
the Champions League
Brighton.
games, where we were playing well. We were smoking teams. But then we had the results where 4-1 against Brighton. We are losing to Arsenal, losing to Newcastle, losing to everyone. And the thing for me is I don't think that Pochettino's any better, which is surprising considering the level of where they've coached at. You'd think that he should be miles better. That's what he came in, and we all thought he was coming in to be, was miles better than the guy we just had, and he's not, to me, not shown that. Yeah, I don't think anyone at the moment, for the most part, is Poch out. I think you'll get the radicalists who are 3 months in. But I don't think anyone's Poch out. I just think it's a case of people are realizing, or people are coming to realization, that he's just not good enough right now. And it's stupid errors. It's the playing people out of position for no reason. It's the terrible subs that are making no difference to the game, and in some instances are making us worse. It's the terrible management in games in terms of, I spoke about this on Lewis's stream earlier, in terms of, you look at other teams, the way they play when they play possession, they're all about suffocating teams. We don't do that. We sit off. Our backline is deep. We allow teams to come out, and then there's no shift to change that from Poch. It's always reactive. It's never proactive. At least that's what he's like. That's the impression he's giving to me, and that's the issue I have with him. It's just the stupid stuff, and the problem with giving him time. I was in this boat last season with Potter. This is all I was saying. I said, give it time. Give it till January. He hasn't had a preseason. He hasn't had his signings. He hasn't had, time to get his style of play across. We got to January. We got players in. We got Enzo. We got Felix in. We got Badeshile. We got improvements to our squad, and nothing changed. In fact, we got worse. And
yeah,
that's my worry at the moment. Everyone's saying, "I'll wait till we get our players back from injury." Number one, there's like one player that's coming back from injury that actually starts for us in terms of a long-term injury, maybe 2 if you include James. And I'm sorry, but James and Nkunku are not enough to turn the rest of this team around. And then what? Then my question would be, what's the excuse then?
And then
we're putting a lot of pressure on Nkunku, a guy who's never played Premier League football, won't have played for, I think, 4 months by the time he comes back. He doesn't need that pressure. We don't need to put that pressure on him, but he's now got that pressure because that's what our manager and some sections of our fan base are putting on him. And I just worry that that's unhealthy.
And this is the thing. If we are going to wait until that long, and let's say it doesn't work out, then what is the idea? Then how many points have we dropped? And then by the time we do potentially get rid of him, is the season already tanked? Are we already going to have another year potentially out of Europe? And what are the long-term ramifications of that? Like, I get it. Like, it's ruthless thinking that way, but it's ruthlessness that took us to the top. And it's ruthlessness that kept us at the top.
Well, you say that, but we were declining slowly in terms of league.
Because of our transfer windows, not because of the managers. We had about 5 years of mid-transfer windows, and it came to slap us.
The recruitment has been poor the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's the one aspect you can say of when it comes to our previous ownership and what they did. That's all I always stand by. We were regressing because of the transfer windows. Like, it wasn't necessarily, as Lewis said, the managers we brought in, it was just the transfer windows were terrible. Our signings were god awful.
Terrible. But this is why, like, I'm not really saying too much about the players, except maybe some aren't ready now and we need to look for more experienced options, and that's okay. I understand it from the players' front. Like, for some of them, this is their first time at a big club. Pochettino is in his 4th, 5th job. And this
I
is
think
what he's
it's
bringing to
fifth.
the
I think
table.
fifth or
Yeah.
sixth.
Fifth, and this
Yeah.
is what he's bringing to the table. Like, we mocked Arsenal for the whole trust the process thing with Arteta, but at least it was his first managerial role. You could understand he's a man learning on the job. Like,
So
what's
you
Poch doing?
don't believe in a process from an experienced manager? Surely that would be
I
more the
believe in
case.
progress, not a process.
But how can
Alex,
you
you
tell
can
progress
trust
after a couple of months?
the process,
That's
but you
what I
have
see.
to
I would
Bro,
judge
we
it
had the
over
easiest
6
start to the
months, over
season
1 year.
and we bombed it. We bombed it. Now we have Poch coming out in press conferences and trying to big up our draws against Liverpool and Arsenal because we played better and talking about how we struggle against low blocks. If he is physically admitting that he can't handle low blocks, then forget the run that we have now. I'm now concerned about the run after that. When we face Everton, when we face Sheffield United, when we face Wolves and Luton, because they'll probably do the same thing and we'll still struggle. So then I'm asking, where is our next win coming from? Because I don't know. So if I have this little confidence in the manager, I feel like I'm there already.
I think that he's been given a tough hand. Not in the sense of the signings. Obviously, we've backed him, but we were ready in pre-season. We had a system that was working. We had players that were performing, and things were good. We didn't lose a single game, if I'm not wrong. And then Nkunku gets injured, and then Chukwuemeka gets injured. Everything changes. So, you know, I know we're only talking about 2 players, but you know, at the end of the day, sometimes.
But is Nkunku and Chukwuemeka really the excuse for him playing 2 forwards at home to the likes of Luton and Nottingham Forest? Is it the reason for him playing for a draw against a winless Bournemouth team, or just pussying out as soon as we get a red card against Aston Villa, or playing with 3 centre backs again against a back 5 against Brentford?
Yeah, no, these are all circumstantial, though, right? So what I'm saying is, if we never had those problems in the first place,
Those
we
are
might not be in
his
those situations.
circumstances that he's placed on us.
Yes, because of the obstacles he's had to deal with. Now, I'm not saying
no, it's because he's bitch made. In all honesty, the guy tried to time waste and protect the point against a winless Bournemouth team. Like, come on. 2 forwards at home against Nottingham Forest and Luton Town. 3 centre backs against Nottingham Forest, Luton Town, and Brentford.
I'm not saying that those are good. I'm not saying those are good results. I'm not saying they're good performances. What I am saying is, if you look at his history as a manager, I mean, regardless of where you were at one point, by the end of the season, I just don't see it continuing the way it was. This is like what happened last season. It went from worse to worse to worse.
It's because it can't continue like this for the season, because eventually he will be gone. But where will the club be at by the time that happens?
I think we'll be in a worse spot if we sack him, because we'll be going in a limbo like Man United have been doing since they sacked Ferguson.
Bro,
Bring
where
in
are
a
we
manager
right
that's
now?
top, sack him. All of that same process, but we're not going to have the success to match it like we had under Abramovich. So for me, if you're going to do the long-term process, you have to just grit your teeth. You really do. I mean, there's no other way for me to
long-term process with Arteta, but they let him rebuild the squad. We have literally rebuilt the squad with him. So it's not the same.
I don't know
you just can't compare the process of Arsenal and Chelsea. There's no way.
No, I'm not comparing the process, but you know, just because we got new players doesn't mean that they're ready made. So you know that the results aren't going to come straight away. So when we look at experience, you know, people bang on about it, but it does mean something. And I don't think anyone expected us to be as bad as we have been. For me, it's
I had no questions with the setup. I'd agree if that was the case, but I always come out of each game that we drop points with questions for Pochettino, except the Arsenal game. That's the only time where I've been like, Arsenal and Liverpool. Other than that, every other time we drop points, I've been like, hell, even with the Arsenal game, I could say you take off the attackers, we lose our sting going up front. But I won't give him the majority of the blame, because it was both individual errors that led to the goals. But even then, I'm looking at him a little bit.
Yeah.
Why is it I'm looking at the manager nearly every single time?
No, it all comes down to the manager at the end of the day, what happens on the pitch. But over a long period, that also he does affect that as well. So if we don't give him that long period, then we'll never know. I mean, that's all I'm coming at. I'm not going to sit here and put praise on every single bad performance we've done and try and back him up for that. That's not what I'm doing here. So I don't want to get that twisted. I'm just saying, you look at the guy's record, you look what he's done. For me, he deserves the time, irrespective of how bad we've been. Because
he's got one French league.
Klopp finished bloody 8th in his first season, whatever. It took him 4 years to win a trophy.
Yeah,
I
but Klopp
know
came
it's
in
different. I
mid-season without a new
it's
squad,
different.
and he had
I
to
know.
rebuild his squad. Our squad is already rebuilt.
But sometimes we were a victim of rebuilding our squad last season. That was one of the main problems. Frank Lampard said that from the beginning. We had too many players. We bought so many players that half of them couldn't play, and then we had an unhappy dressing room. So yes, we're rebuilding our squad very quickly, but that's not always a good thing straight away, because sometimes you want to get used to playing with this player before you can get used to playing with this player. So for me, they just need time.
It sounds like
no other way to do it. Like when we first started doing this podcast, Lewis, I didn't think it was going to get views straight away. And even if we got 1,000 views every now and then, we'll still bang out another episode. Why? Because eventually, hopefully, it will start doing well. And I think it's got better and better. So it's a bit of a weird analogy, but you've got to have a little bit of trust. You've got to have
We're really
patience.
comparing this to a podcast.
Oh, house, man.
We're lost.
I will say as well, like, the problem with comparisons to other managers and other squads, and this goes both ways, is very hard. Like the Klopp comparison, for me, that's not a comparison, because I'm looking at his squad here and it is horrendous. Like, it is horrendously bad. And he, like, I'm not a massive Klopp supporter. I don't rate him to the extent that some other people do, but he still did well to fix this squad. Like, if anyone wants to, just go out there and it's the 15-16 season, go and look at that squad. It's horrendously bad. And that's where I look at the Poch thing, and I kind of mentioned it earlier with Potter last season. Like, I did a comparison of the game against Arsenal, the lineup we had, and the lineup we had last season against Wolves, where we won 3-0. And that basically every player in every position is an upgrade on who we had in that Wolves game. And you had the opportunity to start the same lineup, bar Enzo and Mudryk for different reasons. But even so, you have Leslie come in midfield potentially, and you have, I think that would actually be it, wouldn't it? Oh, and Jackson come in, and that's it. And instead, he feels the need to change it. And I get the point about the number 10. I disagree with it. But even if we concede to that point, just going off the game yesterday, there's no excuses. Like, you have all the bones of a team that can hurt Brentford, and you decide to move Gallagher into the pivot, which we've seen he can't do. He's had a very good season. I'm not a massive Gallagher supporter, but I will concede he's had a very good season. But we know he can't pick up the ball from deep when he's under pressure, and we saw that in the game yesterday. You put Disasi at right back, where he has played, like, I think he played about 15 minutes there against Villa, wasn't very good. And I think he played a few games there for Monaco. Don't know how he played there, to be completely honest. But he looked horrible, looked uncomfortable out of position. And then, yeah, you put Madueke in, who up until the game yesterday had played less minutes, I think, than Brozier this season, or had played about the same minutes as Brozier this season, who's just coming off an ACL. And it's just, I just think the management of the game yesterday, if we're just looking at that in isolation, was terrible. Just terrible. And unfortunately, it's too many of the same things. It's too many of the same mistakes he's making. As I said earlier, whether it be the subs in game that are just not good enough, aren't affecting the game, whether it be stupid lineup decisions that make no sense, that it takes him about 5 games to realize they're stupid, to rectify. Like, it can't be taking you 5 games to work out that Chilwell was in a left winger, and that Gallagher can't play in the pivot, and he's better as a 10, and Enzo should be playing in the pivot, and that, you should play 2 actual fullbacks at fullback, and then they'll play well. Like, you can't be taking 5 games to work those things out. It take a game, maybe 2, cool. That should be it. That's a maximum. And he keeps making these errors, and he'll get time. And obviously he should get time, in the sense of it is too early to sack him. Obviously, we're 3 months in, but if it continues like it is, it's looking bad. By the time January hits, I genuinely see us getting 13 points. That puts us on 25.
It's the same as last year.
It's literally 2 points less than last year. And the games I see us winning, 2 of them against the current bottom 3, and the other 2 are against the Palace team that look in terrible form, and Brighton, just because they're the type of team we'll beat. Like Everton, I see a loss. Wolves, I see a draw or a loss. just because that United I see a loss. They're terrible. We saw that tonight. They're terrible. But the way they're set up to play lends to beat us, lends to hurt us in the areas where we can get hurt.
And we don't even like going to Old Trafford anyway. And that form, that's not even top 7, top 8 form. So, like, we are already majorly underachieving. If we were playing to a top 6, top 7, top 8 level, granted, we wouldn't necessarily be that happy about it, but we could accept that as progression. This is not progression. So, like, I don't know what there is to back. I really don't. I didn't mind when we got 3 wins on the bounce and it looked like we were turning a corner, but look at the run of games that we have, and like, I'm concerned. I'm very concerned because if this continues, when the penny drops, it might be too late. It might be too late. For Europe, God knows. Because right now, we're just lucky there's 3 teams worse than us who are guaranteed to go down. That's it. I've seen this story before. Remember Leicester, it took them ages to get rid of Brendan Rodgers, and by then it was too fucking late.
Yeah.
The worry I have as well, just because, like, I do understand Alex's point in terms of looking long term, but I think the problem that, like, we as fans, and this is like a we in terms of general, sometimes, is because I see people doing it at the minute with Kendrick Paez, is we think long term way too often sometimes. I did this last season with Potter. I kept thinking long term, next season, when he's had the preseason, everything will click. I kept saying that sort of stuff and I kept thinking long term. But if the short term isn't good enough, then the long term doesn't mean anything at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like Pep Guardiola said that. Literally when he got hired by City or in his first season or second season at City, he said that. Like, long term matters, certainly, but you can't sacrifice the short term for that. Like, as I said, I see people getting gassed about Kendrick Paez, and I said this to someone on stream the other day. I was like, I don't care about, like, not in a disrespectful way, but like, I don't really care about a 15, 16-year-old that's going to be playing with us in 2 years, because by then half the squad could be different. We could have had 3 different managers by that point. Like, we could have different directors. We could be playing in a different stadium with that situation going on. Like, there's so many things that could be different. I care about what's happening right now, week to week. I don't care what's going to happen 2 years away, even to a certain extent, like 2-3 months away. I want to know what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. That's what I care about right now with how we're playing.
Yeah,
Also,
I mean, I can't see us being as bad. Go for it, Father. Go for it.
I was going to say this, like some of our fan base wants a progression at the same time. Like, in order to trust that process, you need to have some sort of a good results. And then up until this moment, you know what? I look at Brighton, for example, Brighton at home in the League Cup, up until the Arsenal game. It's a slow, but then right after the Arsenal game, it kind of goes step backwards again. So at the moment, we're kind of in a bit inconsistent. We could lose to Brentford and suddenly turn up to Tottenham and Man City, Newcastle, and then Brighton and Man United, and then lose again against Everton and Sheffield United. So it's an unknown quantity that we're going into. Plus, you said it as well, and Kuku going to come back soon. And we've had this habit, like Scott said, about rushing players back. It's just like, I'm really don't know what we're going to do, really. It's just like unknown quantity at this moment. Like, we could be here next week, sit down in the 16th place in the table if some of the results don't go our way. 16.
That's going to be next week, by the way.
Yeah.
And then what happens after that? Because after that game, if we don't beat Tottenham, it's City and Newcastle next.
Relegation.
Then it's Brighton. Then it's Man United. This is why I'm worried now. Forget being worried in 2 weeks after those fixtures. I'm worried now.
I genuinely see us beating Brighton. That's the stupid thing about this, is I actually see us beating Brighton. This is so backwards.
No, we made hard work of it in the cup.
No, like, you say that, but we still played well in that game. Like that, and that's the type of team we'll probably play well.
After the goal, I'll say. But before that,
I think they draw today as well against Fulham. Like, they're able to be got at that Brighton team, and as I said, that's the way they play, is the type of way that will, like, lends us to the way we're playing. As I said, we'll probably win that game. That's what I'm saying. It's wild. It's backwards. Like, that should realistically be a game that, like, with the way they're playing, with where we're at right now, that should be a game we struggle, and then you go against Everton, you beat them comfortably, you go against Wolves and all that lot, and you beat them comfortably. It's just all backwards, man. It's just all backwards.
It should be, but I don't know. Didn't Everton beat Villa? No, West Ham. Yeah, they beat
Yeah,
West
West
Ham
Ham.
in their grounds.
Also beat Brentford's
everybody.
3-1.
Again, not for everybody. But if I'm to speak, this is again why it's like I don't see where I can back this guy. I want results. I want something I can get behind. It's not a case where if we were to get results, I'd still keep nitpicking. No. But as of right now, I'm looking at the manager. I'm thinking you're the biggest problem here, if anything. And
yeah, I mean, with Potter, I don't actually know exactly. Maybe you guys can remind me. What was the first bad run we had where we couldn't actually pick up a win? When did that start?
That was a Brighton game, wasn't it?
It was the Brighton game. Like after that game, I don't think I've got them in front of me. I think it was the Brighton game because I don't think we won like a bunch of games after that.
Brighton.
We didn't win to the World Cup, then we beat Bournemouth, and then I don't think we won a game for like.
And then we won the game until like the Crystal Palace game.
No, that's too far.
And then wait till like March against Leeds United.
So if that's how long the owners were willing to give Potter, let's just assume that they're going to give Pochettino a similar amount of flexibility. Let's just assume that. But I can't see us having that bad of a run. Now, if I'm going to backtrack a little bit on myself, I could definitely say I'm not particularly confident going into the next few games. Things could change, as I said in January, if we make one or two signings. Now signings, not players for the long term. But even if we do lose a couple of games, I can see us winning a couple of games. I think it's going to be more of a wave. I think we're going to be up and down, like Father likes to say, up, down, up, down. And we won't have that consistency, but I just don't see us picking a run which is going to get Pochettino sacked. I just don't see that happening. I think that there'll be times where we'll be thinking it, and we'll go, bloody hell, this is just not good enough. And then we'll go into the next game and we'll be surprised. And then we'll go into the next game and we might get, we might get a cheeky late winner or something like that. Maybe I'm being too optimistic. I don't know. But I just, for me, it can't be worse than last year, boys. It can't be worse. And Lewis, when you say that you've got less optimism, I just don't see it, because I think we are playing better football than last season. And it's great that Tuchel got us the points at the beginning, but they were hard-earned points, like irrespective of that. I remember games where we were scraping wins, and even with a top-class manager, yes, we were managing to get some of those results, but those results didn't prevent him from being sacked. So it's a really difficult one. I mean, we could talk about this for hours and hours, and I'm not saying you guys are wrong. Right? I'm not saying that. Like, I understand why people would have a short fuse with this. This is not Chelsea, all of that. Some people watching this at home on the TV, it must be even worse for you guys, because you're not even seeing, half of the action that might be happening off the TV. That's what keeps you entertained half the time. The what's going on the touchline, what's happening with your mates. You're just fixated on the football. And if you're not getting results, it's rubbish. But for me, I'm still seeing effort. I'm still seeing something. For me, that's more than I saw last year. That's more than I ever saw. And at least we look like a team that want to play.
It's a very low bar.
It is a low bar, Lewis, but that's where we're at. That is where we're at. Are we going to agree with that?
We should be aspiring to do better than that.
Of course we're aspiring to do better than that, but that's where we are.
Alex, our standard should be up here, Alex, but not here.
To be fair, I do agree with some of the stuff Alex is saying, but then I also think then that comes back actually more on the manager in terms of I do think the players are actually trying. Like, I do think the players care, but I think then that puts more onus on the manager, because if the players care and they're trying and it still doesn't look good and we still look lost, that means something about the direction and the tactics and the instructions they're being given isn't clear. And that comes from the manager. I also do understand the point as well about like it being up down, and I said this when we had Potter, and it's like the standards of the fan base and of the club are in a different space now than where they were, and we are in a different space in football in terms of certain things do have to change. In terms of we may this season have like that type of form where we maybe play well against like a Brighton and don't quite win, or we play well against Newcastle and don't quite win. But I can accept those sorts of things and those types of results as long as the manager doesn't give me a reason to question, could we not have got more? Like, that's the thing. Like, say that Brentford game. Say, like, we play the best we can we miss a couple of chances, like we did, but we play well the whole game, and we just happen to get caught on one counter and lose 1-0. It's going to piss me off, but I can accept that more if the team, in terms of the players and the personnel playing and the way we played, is something to hold on to. Because that's how I was with Potter last season. There were certain things I saw where I was like, even though we didn't get the result, there's certain things I can hold on to. You know, and there was a couple games this season, like the West Ham game, there was stuff I could hold on to because we played well, we just didn't get the result because of a few stupid errors. Same with the Liverpool game. But when I'm seeing performances where, like I said, there's wrong personnel out there, we play well for 30 minutes and then we drop off, you know, the subs are making me question it. That's when I'm like, well, I can't really sit here and just accept this, because if this is all I'm going to see continually, keep going forward, then nothing. I'm just going to be back where we were last season. And that's the thing. I need to see a bit more. I need to see the manager basically do all he can to try and get a result. And then I can accept the few losses we take, the stupid errors that are going to come from having a young team. Like, I don't expect all our players to have perfect performances every game. They're young. That's not how it works. Like, that didn't happen for Arsenal. That didn't happen for likes of Martinelli, Saka, Erdegaard when he came in. Like, all these guys. Like, it doesn't happen for City players as well. Like, there are times we've seen some of City players, like Stones when he first joined. We saw what he was like. It was a mess. Like, he wasn't good, like, at all. Now he's arguably best centre back, one of the best midfielders as well to say in the world, based on the way he's playing. And so I understand it's going to take time, but then I need the manager to make sure, cool, give me no reason to go on you, give me no reason to criticize, give me no reason to nitpick, nothing like that. Then I can accept the hard results, the results that don't quite go your way. Those are a lot easier to stomach.
Yeah, that's why even for the Arsenal game or something, like, I wasn't really on Poch too much, because, like, to me that would have been nitpicking. But I look at all the other results, I'm thinking, nah, it's you. So it's not even a Poch agenda thing. I want Poch the baller. I don't want us to be sitting in mid-table. We all want him to be doing better, but I have to be realistic. I gotta take the emotion goggles off, and he don't look like the guy, man. He don't look like the guy at all. And I'm hoping I can sit here in 2-3 months and say I overreacted. And he was a lot better than I gave him credit for. But as of right now, this is stinky football. I'm in the same position as you, Scott, where I feel like we both tried to back Potter throughout the long term, but it got to a point where it was impossible to do so. At least then, we had 11 points in the bag from Tuchel's time. We don't have that now. We are starting from scratch. So we need to be more ruthless. This is not good enough. And I'm not saying, like, he's not going to get sacked now anyway, but he's got to turn it around, and he needs to find a way to get results out of these run of fixtures. He said it himself before the game that we shouldn't be worried about this fixtures because it's the sort of teams that we should be aiming to be around. So go and get results, because we can't even get results from the likes of Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest and Brentford. So I don't have any confidence for the games coming up, and it's up to the manager to do it. But if he doesn't, I don't know where the results are coming. And if that's the case, I think he's gone by Christmas.
For me, it's just like, again, for example, against the Brentford game. I looked at of the group of players like yesterday. If I ask you guys a question, like, do you guys think kind of like they don't have some sort of a proper understanding of each other's game? Because even though we create some chances yesterday, it's just like, again, it's the individual mistakes week in, week out. We always tend to have consistency issue. Let's say if we go to the final third and they're not scoring, we look desperate. Look what happened against Forest. 2 shots in 21. So
this one, it was, I think, what was the stat for today? 2 in 17.
Yeah, 2 out of 17
compared
shots.
To Brentford's 5 in 7.
Also, by the way, people, don't get it twisted as well. Like me and Lewis, I think Fata's in the same camp. I actually don't know what side of the fence Fata falls on with all this, to be honest. Like, we're not solely blaming the manager or everything. Like, I'm well aware it's not just the manager. He takes a large portion of blame for the season. He's not the only one. Some of the players haven't been good enough and stepped up in key moments. Like, I think we all realise now Jackson's not a starting striker. Like, he's just not for what we want. He's a good number 2 striker. He's a guy that can get you maybe 10 goals a season off the bench, you know, come in, help here and there. You know, when you're playing Champions League, maybe he gets like pushing towards 15 if you're in Europe or whatever. he's not a starting striker. Like he's just not right now. There are question marks whether he's even a striker. I know some people are questioning whether he's even a striker. Full stop. He hasn't really been good enough right now in terms of what we expect. He's good. He's good with like some of the outside the box stuff and like link up play, but when it counts in terms of in the box stuff, it's just not enough. It's not really good enough. Sterling as well. I don't think he's been good enough in terms of he's been good. Like he's been okay. Obviously, he's our top goal scorer, I think. And he's obviously helped us win games, but he's not done what we expect of something of his experience. I'd throw the same kind of criticism at Thiago Silva. Not done enough for me this season in terms of someone of his experience and his level, what we know he can deliver. It's just not good enough. And so I don't think, and I could keep going with some of the players as well. So it's not just a Poch thing. Like some of these players need to step up as well and like show that they at least deserve to wear the shirt. Like I'm not talking you have to be world class. I don't expect that from some of these players, but show me you can be competent. Like I shouldn't have to see a 20-year-old player who is playing in like his third or fourth game for the club be telling you where to pass the ball on a football pitch, be telling you to get forward to run with the ball, be telling you where to position yourself. That should not be happening. That shouldn't be happening in any league in any top league in football. Never mind at a supposedly top club in one of the top leagues. Like that just shouldn't be happening.
Again, like I'm in the same history like as everyone here. We want to see that Poch want to do well for this club, and yeah, the only thing that I can criticize him is like in terms of lineup, any game management, or any substitution, regardless. So it goes to a point when if the results don't go our way, then what are we going to do? Then what's the excuse? That's my position on Poch. Like I'm not Poch out yet, but again, like he needs to pattern up with this kind of like selection and that. And yeah, man, it's just like, and it's an unknown. We don't know what to expect from Poch. Like we can sit here and then criticizing Poch about the lineup on Saturday, and then by the time we get against a Blackburn, oh, what the fuck is this lineup again? So it's just like we just don't know what to expect from him.
Blackburn, I don't care about the lineup. If you bottle that, like I might be done right there. Seriously, like no ifs. See, it's mad that
on a genuine note, yeah.
Imagine if they sit back.
Are we a cup team?
Oh my gosh!
Are we a cup team? Literally, on a genuine, are we a cup team though at the moment? Or
well, we better be. I've seen worse teams make the Carabao Cup final. One of Man United or Newcastle's getting knocked out on Wednesday. One of West Ham or Arsenal's getting knocked out on Wednesday. City's already gone and Tottenham's already gone. If we throw this away.
I was gonna say, isn't there one of the ties like Port Vale versus like Morecambe or something?
Yeah,
like
Exeter.
There's no excuse. I swear.
Alex, this is also one of the way getting to European football if we win this Carabao Cup as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Europa or Conference?
Conference League.
I think it's Conference.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
No,
I
I'll
think
take Conference at this point. I mean, I
right.
said Champions League at the beginning, but any form of European football, that's something.
As a bare minimum Conference
I'd say Conference League football.
Even at that point, I swear we have fallen off.
I said this last season. I'd just say Conference League just to have those as the games where you play the likes of Leslie, you play Madueke if he's going to or Angelo if he comes back next season. You play. I'm trying to think who else like Matson. Those are the type of games that I want to see. Yeah, like if Jackson's the backup next season, that's the type of games you see him play. Like, don't use it for starting. Like, we shouldn't be needing like the starting lineup to beat. No disrespect, like Karabag and teams from the far reaches of Iceland and stuff like that. Like that's what I've.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Scott. What do you think about Sanchez? Do you think he's good enough?
Good question. Good enough for where?
Good enough to play for Chelsea.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Good enough for what aspirations?
Top 4.
Yes. To win the league? No.
So do you think he's better than Kepa?
No. Yes, but it's not a huge jump.
He's a way better shot stopper than Kepa.
He's a better shot stopper. I'd say his distribution is as bad, and the one thing he can do is came across. Just about.
Yeah. That makes him head and shoulders in my opinion.
Yeah, it's literally just a little bit. I'm not his biggest fan, to be honest. I don't particularly think, as I said, he was that big of an upgrade. I think that some of the things that he was seen as is wrong in terms of he's not a ball playing goalkeeper. His distribution sucks. Like it's terrible. The Arsenal pass was not an outlier. He does that a lot. He did that against Brighton. It just didn't cost us. He's done that before in games. It just hasn't cost us. I think he's good enough for us to get top 4 because as we've seen, he is a good shot stopper. Like he is a very good shot stopper. And so I think that is kind of all you need to get top 4. We've seen it before. We got top 4 with Kepa. Other teams have got top 4, like De Gea, for example. Like there are so many aspects about goalkeeping he's terrible at, but he's a quality shot stopper. So United have got top 4 with him. To win titles, though, he's not good enough. He's nowhere near good enough to win a league title. But I don't think that's our aspiration at the moment. So to get top 4, I think he's good enough. But that is a position, similarly to probably like left back, similarly to a couple of other positions, that is going to be something we need to address if we want to win titles, or when we want to win titles, I should say. But yeah, right now I think he's good enough.
So obviously we're looking at striker. Everyone knows that.
Apparently a centre back too now.
That does make sense. That does not
doesn't make any sense.
Apparently it's for Chalobah leaving, which doesn't make. I thought it'd be for Silva, if anything.
But like I was going to say, you've got a guy on loan who's doing well on loan in the Championship who would just come in to be 6th choice centre back anyway. I said this on stream earlier. The only way that makes sense is if they've given up on Fofana, which I wouldn't blame them for. But unless Fofana, that doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know, because did they say we're looking for one for January? Let me have a look.
I
Yeah,
think
Chelsea
it's
in 2024.
I think it just said 2024. So
and Chelsea looking at centre backs as part of their plan for January or the summer. So there's a potential that we could be looking in both positions. But seriously, striker has to be the first one. Centre back needs to be the last priority.
I think Fabrizio did say our striker is a priority as well, so which is good.
Yeah, that's decent. But then as well, like, good luck getting a serious striker that wants to join us over anyone else when we play like this, and we're likely 17th in January.
Well, who are we competing with for a striker in January? Arsenal? Anyone else?
I think it depends. Like,
Osimhen won't leave in January. Like that, we can forget about that. That's
potentially not. But the problem is, even with Osimhen, like, don't forget, Real Madrid don't have a striker. Real Madrid's starting striker is Joselu right now. They don't have a striker. And people can say, oh, there's Mbappe and Haaland they're looking at. Cool, then that's 2 teams right there in PSG and Man City who are then going to be looking for a striker should they lose either of those 2. So that's then those 2 guys we're competing against. Because right now, Ramos looks terrible for PSG. Like, he doesn't look like he's going to be good enough, so they probably won't make his loan permanent. And then they've just got Kolo Muani. And I don't really know how he's played, but that could be an area they try and strengthen. And obviously, as I said, City are going to potentially need someone depending on how they see Alvarez going forward. So even the Osimhen one is not one I'd say we've got a clean shot at. The Tony one, I think we're okay with because like it's just us and Arsenal, and I don't know whether Arsenal can afford him, to be completely honest.
That might work. Like Chelsea's idea, just outbidding, might be our only way through in the Ivan Tony thing. But
yeah,
we'd have to offer Tony some stupid wages as well, unless he's just downright happy to join Chelsea. Which, if that's the case, cool. That would save us a lot of trouble right now. But right now, I think we look unattractive as hell.
Yeah, I suppose the
one
good
problem
thing
for me
about
with
Tony
Osimhen is that didn't he go into AFCON as well though in January? So
yeah, AFCON.
Yeah. So we're going to be out without 2 of our 3 strikers.
He weren't going to join anyway. He weren't going to join anyway. Yeah. Like Osimhen in January, forget it. Don't even delude yourself.
It's Tony or bust at this point.
Osimhen wouldn't join us at this point over a team in Europe and probably contending for the title, and Napoli wouldn't let him go at that point either without you paying 250 million or something stupid. Osimhen is your summer target if we don't get the January target, and nothing more.
Tony's 28 though, isn't he? So this whole model of young players, I don't know if he fits into that, but
the model's BS though. Like we were looking at Tony all year before the ban, so it's like this whole Chelsea don't go for under 20 is clickbait. It's clickbait.
Also, the only evidence, quote unquote, they have for that is us not going for Maddison, and I don't understand that because we were never in for Maddison because we always saw Nkunku as our number 10.
And while Maddison went to Tottenham, our main plan was clearing out players at that time. It was reported. That was the main aim.
Not even that. Our main plan at that point was Nkunku at the number 10. Like we had at the time, we had Nkunku in the team. He was fit. Everyone only talks about Maddison because Nkunku got injured.
Yep, and also because it's another stick to beat Todd Bowley with, and I think it's very easy for the media to
Didn't
do.
Gallagher also into Tottenham as well, though, at that time?
Gallagher was linked the whole summer, even up to deadline day.
to multiple teams, multiple
Yeah,
English
we
teams.
spent all summer trying to get rid of him. We might still be trying to get rid of him in January.
I actually don't know
Even
if
in
we will.
spite of-
I can't see him leaving. I can't see him leaving unless they stick a 50 million bid in. that'll
Unless
get
someone
accepted.
drops the 50 million, no, but I could see Chelsea still try and do it. Still a Cobham player, still straight profit on the FFP books, and they spent all summer trying to do it.
But you know what? It wouldn't be unusual if he then said no, because that's what Maatsen did anyway. Maatsen obviously wants to prove that he's able to get into the squad. Gallagher's already in the squad, so why would he leave?
Yeah,
If
I also don't think
comes in for him.
I don't think he leaves in January.
We're
He, like,
interested in him. Liverpool are meant to be looking at Conor Gallagher right now. If they come in for him, I'm sure he'd want to go there over this crap.
I'm not sure. I mean, he does fit that profile, that Klopp profile. But if I'm already part of Pochettino's plans, like I'm playing in my boyhood club, I presume
And what amazing fans these are.
I don't know, but I would be very surprised if he left.
Is Pochettino also going to control the transfer as well in January?
Oh, brilliant! I've seen this guy's talent ID. That ain't good,
it's
man.
in the pitch.
I just saw a quote from Bruno Fernandes talking about how Poch wanted him a few years ago. The guy wanted to keep Mount and Havertz, and he let João Felix go, who's literally Barca's best player. Like, I don't know, man. There is not a lot in that's giving me confidence.
See, Alex, it's unknown. We don't know what to expect from Poch.
Bro, I don't know what to expect.
Talent ideas look stinky.
I just think
that
needs time.
But that's why,
that's
like,
all I've said. That's all I've said. How can you
earn time, though? You earn it. You don't just get given it because, it's not been enough time or anything like that. No, you earn it, Faith.
Of course you earn it, mate. But I think that you should have longer to earn it. I think 3 months is still not enough time. You could have a shit start and have a great finish, and then we'll be saying good things about him.
I'd agree if the start wasn't this bad. Again, if the start had us in 6th or 7th or 8th right now, I'd be with you. Not 12th. That's a big drop-off. Why are we accepting that just because we were 12th last season? Is that where we're lowering the standards to?
Long as the standard was there last season, I haven't lowered it. That's where we're at. I mean,
no, but it's not where we should be. As fans, we should be keeping it higher. Not just we haven't regressed because we're not as bad in the table as we were last season. No, we should be thinking higher. The year before that, we finished 3rd. We won the Club World Cup.
I want us to win the league, Lewis, but it's not going to happen. You know,
I'm not talking about the league.
You understand where I'm coming from, though.
I'm talking about progression, not this. The same position that we're in last season with new players.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I can see that I didn't see last season, which you disagree with, is I think there's still optimism. I think there's still a chance that we can improve. So that's what I'm riding it on. And we haven't seen a January window either.
Where do you see that?
Well, we've got a proven manager with top clubs with Pochettino. That was never the case with Potter. We've got players who want to be here, and we've got a lot of players out injured. So when they come back, things could change.
Proven is very loosely.
Well, did he do a bad job with Tottenham? Yes or no?
Did he win anything at Tottenham?
Yeah, but you're capped, mate. You're capped at Tottenham. You can't win anything. They don't allow you to.
No. Like,
Lewis, if we got to a Champions League final, would you criticize?
So all this guy has proven is he can win the league with PSG in France.
Fucking hell, well, you got the job and you won the league. That's not exactly bad.
It's not exactly hard either.
What do you want me to say? That it's shit to win the league with PSG?
City hasn't done enough.
Alex, we want
nobody's
to see
done
that
enough.
Nobody.
Tottenham, even back in the day, weren't even the standards we were at.
Come on.
Mate, nobody's going to be better than Tuchel in the short term. We're not going to find a manager who can do what Tuchel did and come in and just reshape everything. And even with, and by the way, Tuchel did a fantastic job of dealing with problems, injuries. Like, if we can have a manager like that at the moment who was able to do these things straight away, I'm all for it. I'd love it. But I just don't think that our reality is the same as it was even 2 years ago. It's just not the same. And yeah, the standard has dropped. I don't think it's dropped as much as people are saying it has, because it's only the beginning of the season. So what I'm saying is, yeah, we're here now, but I still think we can get back to where we need to be. Now, in the short term, that's just European football. That's where I'm
Alex,
saying. I think
we turned
European
Stamford.
football.
Alex, we turned Stamford Bridge into 3-point collectors for away teams, man.
I don't know what you want me to say,
losses.
Father. Right now, we're a charity FC, whatever you want to call it. But I think it's going to get
Why
better.
are we accepting it?
Fucking hell, look, mate. I'm trying to be a little bit positive. I can't.
You don't have to be positive, you know. You don't have to.
This is why I told you
You can be realistic. You don't have to be the optimistic guy, bro.
Realistically, we haven't been good, though. Realistically, we haven't been good. I'm not shying away from that.
And why is
we'll
that?
improve.
Because I'm trying to point the reasons to it. We don't have to be blindly optimistic just for the sake of optimism. What's the point of that? All that is accepting the standards of where we are and lowering the standards of the club.
So we're going to become like Arsenal then in that case. We're just going to fucking fight each other, boo the players on the pitch. I just don't see. That's not what I want to see, man. I want to see
I'm not saying nothing about the players, though. I'm talking about the coach.
It all comes back to the players and the coach. It's all a collective.
It all comes back to the coach.
I don't know what to tell you, mate. That's just how I feel. That's how I feel. I know it's not a popular opinion. I get it. But for me, like me and you have been in the same camp for a number of things. We both like Sarri. We both liked a lot of different things. I think that we were one of the most patient fans when it came to Potter. You know, there was a stage where I wanted him out as well. You know, I didn't back him right till the end. You know, there was a couple of games to go. I said, he's going to fucking go. But I was Potter's biggest fan. I even said last season, and it was passed around a bit on Instagram, don't get Pochettino. Keep Potter. That's what I said last season. So I didn't even want Pochettino to start off. I would have taken Nagelsmann. I would have taken Mourinho. But then when you look at what Bowley's trying to do, and it comes back to the long-term project, I know it's cheesy, Pochettino is your go-to guy for a long-term plan. So for me, I didn't expect us to be this bad. I thought we would
don't
be
know
right
what
up
he's done to prove that he is 100% the go-to guy.
Mate, I just think
what did he do? Build up a team that won nothing at Spurs.
Well, he's able to keep a job for a long time and progress a team. That's the main thing, and I think that's what Bowley's looking for.
Win nothing.
I don't know what that's what I see, mate. You know, Mourinho, he lasts 2-3 years and then he gets sacked. I don't think Bowley's looking for a manager like that. I think he wants something stable. You know, they're not sacking managers in the MLB with the Dodgers. They're not sacking the Lakers coach every year. I don't think they want to have a different approach with Chelsea. I know it's a different sport. I know it's a different way of looking at things. There's a lot more pressure from the fans, but I just think that
maybe they should hire better coaches.
Wants to take. Sorry?
If they don't want to do that, maybe they should hire better coaches. Because I can look at Bowley and say the manager ID is very questionable right now.
There you go.
Very questionable.
Well, that's certainly a debate worth having. But I do think that we need a little bit more time before we can come to that conclusion.
All right. Well, just a last question to wrap it up. Anybody confident for Tottenham?
I keep flipping between yes and no. Because, like, I watched the game the other day against Palace, and it's like, and I've watched some of their games, and they are very good defensively in some areas. Like Van der Ven's been quality, but again, this is the type of game we'll probably get up for because it's a derby, and because it's Tottenham, and because the way they play, and we'll probably like, I don't know whether we'll win, but I think we'll play well and probably get like a draw, maybe a win. But yeah, I just keep flicking between yes and no because I also don't see how we're scoring.
Yeah, I would go with a draw as well. To be fair, I think that we'll be up for it. And I think also it comes to a point where you get so high that you have to be brought down to reality as well. Tottenham are a decent side, but they're not. I don't think they're going to win the league. I don't think that they've got the credentials to do that. So I think that also it's a game of momentum and pressure. And I think, fucking hell, the pressure's on us. The pressure's on Poch. So if there's anyone that needs to get a result, it's us, not them. They could lose this game. No one would bat an eyelid, right? They're still saying Ange's doing a great job. But I'm not sure if we can beat them. But I'll predict maybe a 1-1, something like that.
Yeah, it's the same for me as well. It's like my head's saying like, oh, we want to beat Tottenham because it's a derby, but like your heart's saying that, yeah, because it's Tottenham, and then they're really playing well this season with Ange and that. Like they've got the players in the right system, even without Harry Kane now. They look really fluid, and it's going to be hard for them for us to break them down. And the fact that they're at home and it's also on Monday night, it's going to be like atmosphere-wise, going to be intense. So we need to find ourselves more comfortable in that position to score a goal and then control the tempo of the game. And why not try what we did against Arsenal, innit? So yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. But yeah, it's just like I'm unsure at the moment.
I'm going to say 1-0 because, again, we have to win. I wouldn't take a draw. We need results. We need to get a win in this game. But we'll see, because Tottenham will be up for it as well. These men hate Pochettino now. I kind of get why. So we'll see what happens in that. But it has been a very good debate. It feels very therapeutic as well. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And let's hope after the next episode we've won a game, at least against Blackburn, or we're going to have some even more tougher conversations. But yeah, big up everybody. Like, subscribe, check out everybody's socials.